Hello again. We're going to make a video here starting off from the very beginning on how to test React Redux applications. And we're going to start off with just creating a Create React app, and then we're going to eject that, and then we are going to install JEST. And that'll be the first part. And this is going to be live coding, so might be mistakes, things like that moving along forward, but we will figure this out, get it rolling together. Okay. So first what we want to do is we want to look at JEST, the delightful JavaScript testing framework. So this is a good place to kind of start off reviewing what you need to know about JEST. And it's kind of good just to read the get started pages and items like that. So I am starting off with a Git repo here. So this Git repo is going to be github.com/WesleyDuff. and video demo JEST testing. So if you take that, you could go here, you could fork it, star it, whatever you want to do. But I'll try to keep this into separate branches so then that way we can kind of work together. So the master branch, all it has right now is just a README. But what we're going to do is we're going to create some code here to just go in and create, first off the Create React app. So right now this is our file. We don't have really anything in here. So make sure that you're into this is my terminal down here using VS Code. So make sure that you're inside of the right folder to start off with. So what we want to do is first you need to do an npm I. I'd probably say do a -G, and it's called Create React App. So make sure you run this one first. I already have that. So I do not need to run it again. Create React app, and what we want to call our Create React app is, let's just call it, just call it client, because we already have a JEST folder here, so we'll just call it client. So whenever we run this, it's going to create our application for us. So this is going to be a React application that's going to start from, just give us a ground running, so we don't have to build all this stuff up from the ground up first. So as this is running, should be done here soon. So also there is something that we want to look at, and it's called Create React App Eject. So if we go and we Google this thing and we look at how to ejecting, and you can see here it kind of talks about a little bit this Create React App item. So I want to include libraries which use React Native Link, and I just kind of like to have more control over my own Webpack and things like that, and Create React App, and it's like a little bit more control. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to eject it. So we are going to do an ejection here. So let's, I believe it's just to eject, but let's figure out what the exact words are. Like I said, it's going to be a video that's walking through together, so having it set up at the beginning. So what we want to do is we want to eject Create React App. So we want to eject it. So Create React App, so this is the actual item here. And what we want to do is we want to eject it. So it looks like there's two of these. Just trying to skim through this quickly to see where to eject. Don't have that quite memorized to eject and Create React App. Let's take a look here. Maybe it'll be inside of our configure. So now it looks like we have our client all set up. We have let's look at our package.json file. There's these things called npm scripts. So we have start, build, test, and eject. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to eject it. So we don't want to start it. We don't want to build it. We don't want to test it. We want to eject it. And ejecting is going to allow us to do whatever we want with our Webpack. It's going to create a config folder somewhere within this client folder, and we'll look at that here in a second. So let's eject this. Let's do an npm run. So if you want to run any kind of any kind of npm scripts, it's going to be npm run, eject, npm, well, except for some. Start and test are just npm start, npm test. You don't have to put run before it. but you do have to do for build and eject. So let's do npm run. We could do npm run start as well, I believe, but I haven't done that. Should work. But anyways, but npm run eject. Make sure we're not in the client folder, so that's why it didn't work. So cd into the client folder. npm run eject. So now we are ejecting. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure I want to. Let's see what the error says here. Git repository has untracked files and committed changes. So we have changes. So if we do git status, we do have something here. So that's just our client app. So we need to add this. Let's make a new commit. And before we do this, we already have something here. So git stash kind of puts things on the shelf for us. So let's stash this guy right quick. And what we need to do is we need to create a new branch. Git checkout -b for a new branch. And what we want to do is we want to create a new branch called, let's call it WIP for work in progress React app. Okay, so now we're inside here. So we have something on the shelf because we did a git stash. Git stash apply puts everything off the shelf back into our application. Now we need to add this. So git add dot means for everything. Git commit, and let's always write a good commit message and commit often. So we have git commit. What we're doing is we initialize create React app from terminal, and then client contains the React app. Be descriptive. So now we're going to push this guy up. So we have a new branch since we just created this. So maybe you want to do this in your own Git repo. But so here now we're just going to push up this branch. So now we have this new branch, and if we go to so here's our repo here of what we've done. So we have should have more commits. So here, WIP React less than a minute ago. So we can go to the actual project here. Sorry. Go down here. I'm getting my GitLab and everything else mixed up. There's our new branch we just created. Take a look at that. There's our client. If we look at master, master doesn't have client in it. So we go back to WIP React, work in progress. We're good to go. So let's move forward. Let's take a look. So now what we need to do, git status. We had nothing to commit, working trees clean. So what we need to do now is we need to eject this. So let's do npm run eject. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, so now what it tells you the files that have been created, but now we have that config folder I was telling you about. Inside config, so JEST comes with create React app, so great, we don't have to install it. So CSS transforms, this is some transforms for file transforms in case something can't be loaded. A little bit more information on that later. I'm going to talk about that right now. env.js is your environment. So this kind of sets up your node environment global variables. Then we have some paths, some polyfills. Our web config dev is what we care about. So in order, sometimes I want to go out of my source, out of source and into like something like, say we come over here in inside client. We're going to do this later, but say we create a new folder and we call it tools. Well, tools is outside of source. So if we reference tools inside of source, this will not work with the create React app. So what we have to do in order to get outside of source and into tools is we have to go down here, and I'll know it whenever I see it. Bear with me here. Guarantees that there's conflicts. This allows set fallback. There. Extensions, plugins, module scope plugin. So right here, prevents users from importing files from outside of the source for node modules. This often causes confusion because we only process files within source. Well, with Babel, well, we want tools to be something like a pre-run. We want to run some scripts and some things before we run things later on. We'll talk more about that in a different video. But what we want to do, let's just go ahead and just comment this out, just because we're kind of doing an initial setup here. So let's go ahead and let's commit this, because this is kind of like an important change. We kind of want to have that notified. So git status, we can see that we have a config script. So this is when we ejected, our package JSON has been updated. We want all of this. So git add dot, git commit -m for message. And then what we want to say is we ejected create React application. We have also set application to import outside of source from within the webpack.config.js. Okay? Git push. Let's push this guy. Okay, so now we have this pushed up on our whip branch. So now what we can do, let's do npm start. Let's just check this out. So now we're going to start our application. It's going to run it. So now you'll have your first React application up and running. And this is what Create React App gives you as an ejected version. So now we have full control over anything we want to do with our React application. So as you've seen, you can go to this URL right here, and you can check out the code of what we've done. And also what's kind of handy if you want to go back and look at the commits. I'll try to make sure I keep these commits very clean to kind of tell a story about what's going on. But if we go over here, we go to this guy. So this has 4 commits currently. And then we can go down and we can take a look at what are the commits. We have a first commit. We have a README update. We have a initialize create React app from terminal. Client contains. And look at the rest of that here. So anyways, it just kind of gives us a story about each step that we've been doing. But you always want this to tell a story. You don't want to have like some extra things in there that don't really matter. So that's whenever you need to rebase and squash your items. And we'll talk a little bit more about that whenever we run into that situation. But for this video, this is the first step in creating creating React app applications and testing it with JEST. And we'll include Enzyme and some other items as well, but that'll be later on. But I hope this helps you out. Happy coding. Part 2 coming soon.